No one told you life was gonna be this way.
Hello, my little wordlings. I hope you're having a good day today. As you can tell from the thumbnail, we are going to be reviewing Matthew Perry's autobiography, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. So, right off the bat, I read some of the reviews and they were talking about how he's misogynistic and things like that, but honestly, overall, it didn't change my opinion of him. He was my favorite character.
You mean there's more than one of us?
I still think he's a pretty cool actor. I think he's funny. So I know some biographies can change your opinion on a person, but no, this was just something he went through and it's his life. What are you going to do? So I highly recommend you read it if you're a fan of Friends or, actually I should have put a trigger warning for this entire video. We're going to be talking about mental health issues and we're going to be talking about addiction. So bear that in mind. But yes, what he had to go through, and if you know anyone who suffered from addiction, this gives a pretty good visceral look at what can happen, not only mentally but physically. Very few people talk about the physical ramifications of drug abuse, so it was good to get a different perspective. So yes, and it was readable. It was well written. I know there are some issues with editing, but I found it readable and enjoyable. So you should definitely read it. Now on to some of the things that I found interesting in the book.
I'm funny, right? What do you know? You're a door. You're just like knock knock.
The foreword is by, this is one thing that confused me in the book. The foreword is by Lisa Kudrow. And in the book, he talks about Courtney Cox. He talks about having a crush on Jennifer Aniston, but he barely brings up Lisa Kudrow as much as he brings up everyone else. So I was really wondering what that was about. And I did find some cool quotes that I thought were interesting. They're brought to you by the lovely Miss Bronte. It was that night that I first felt the obsession for alcohol. I don't know if I can pinpoint when I started drinking a lot. I remember I was in university and everybody was drinking in university, but to pinpoint when I felt like I couldn't go without having it, or I couldn't go to an event or do something with friends without having it, I find it kind of impressive that everything he's been through, he actually remembers something like that. Reality is an acquired taste. He actually said that was something his therapist told him, and I kind of like it. It's t-shirt worthy, if you will. And I believe it too, so I always have one foot outside of reality. Don't recommend it because outside of reality is not any better. And even though I have a relationship with God, and I'm so often grateful despite everything, I sometimes do want to tell God to go fuck himself for making my road so hard. That I understand a little too well. They say, what was that stupid saying that God doesn't, or what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? It's like, no, that's not how anything works. I'll be honest, when he started talking about being saved, yeah, I'm shaking now, I'm so angry. I did start to worry. I have a little issue with church gaudy stuff, but it was more in line with what that quote was. It was, this is important to me, but I'm not telling you that this is how to fix your life. And he admits that it didn't fix his life, but it helped him more in instances where he needed to move up in life. So good for him. None of them had battled their entire lives with a brain that was built to kill them. That one I actually felt. I felt it right here. Right here. I don't know how I'm going to flip this, if I'm going to flip this. This general area is where I felt things with that line. Because I think I've actually said something similar to my own therapist, that my brain is trying to take me down, like it's a separate entity and it and I are dueling it out. And and it sucks.
I'm getting a new brain. So great things are happening at work and in your personal life.
And on that happy note, I actually did learn a few new words and a few new things in his book. He's a smart dude. So let's see what we can learn together. Don't make fun of me if I learned words that you already knew. So I've read Dr. Faustus and I've heard Faustian, but I've never actually looked up the definition before to get a clear idea of how to use it when I'm writing. So Faustian means made or done with present gain without regard for future costs or consequences. And Lord have mercy, have we all been there? And this is the line it comes from in the book. That Faustian prayer I made was a stupid one, the prayer of a child. And I think it was the one where he wanted to be famous, if I recall correctly. He calls it the prayer of a child, but I think we've all done the prayer of a child, even in our adult days. Person from Porlock, a person who interrupts at an inconvenient moment. Now, I have never heard of this before, and he compared him, you'll see in the line that it has something to do with Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And I can't believe that I've read poems by this guy and I've never heard this story before. Not even in school, and I studied a lot of romantic poetry in school. So here's the line. It was as if I was reenacting what had once happened to the romantic poet Coleridge, who had been interrupted from his own buzz, he got his via opium, by the legendary person from Porlock. So I guess he interrupted him while he was writing Kubla Khan and he couldn't finish the poem properly or something to that effect. I put a link to a really good article in the description, just in case you're curious. And finally, spume. Frothy matter on liquids. Foam scum. So what everyone says is whale jizz on beach. And where he used it was really interesting. And I don't know if this was bad editing or if it was meant to have that contrast, because it could go either way in this sentence. You'll see. There's beauty, coral reefs, brightly colored fish, spume, and refracted sunlight. But there's something darker, sharks and tigerfish in endless deeps, just ready to swallow rickety fishing boats. That was another thing that drove me a little nuts with this book, because there are a few run-on sentences. I would categorize this as a run-on sentence, even though it's properly punctuated. It was still hard to process all that information at once because it's one giant image that you're trying to piece together in your head like a puzzle. Well, that's all for today. As I said, Heather's Picks. For anyone who's not in Canada, there's a book chain here called Chapters, and Heather, I think, is the CEO or something. Anyway, there's a whole stack of Heather's Picks of what she thought were good books. I don't know if she actually read it or, because she knew it was going to make money. And apparently there's going to be a new version out, because he said something about Keanu Reeves in this one, which was apparently just a one-off joke, but people took it seriously. Not Keanu Reeves, but just fans of Keanu Reeves. So he's going to take that line out. At the end, that is our little Mr. Matthew Perry. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope your brains stay steady for you, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.